Hello, my name is Ariel Johnson, and I'm going to talk about influenza trends and staffing suggestions for this upcoming flu season. The motivation of this project is from the United States having an influenza season where more people than usual suffer from the flu. The Medical Staffing Agency needs to know which states are in the highest demand for staff based on influenza deaths in the past and vulnerable populations. The data that I used for this project consists of the U.S. Census data from 2009 to 2017 provided by the U.S. Census Bureau and a data set of influenza deaths across the U.S. also from 2009 to 2017 provided by the CDC. Both of the data sets come from reliable sources. However, a limitation that comes with the influenza deaths data set is that it is covered by the Public Health Service Act, which prohibits presenting or publishing death counts of 9 or fewer. This changes the complete accuracy of the data, but we want to focus on the higher death counts anyway. And here we have a density map that depicts total influenza deaths, and the darker the color, the higher the density of deaths from the flu in that state. From glancing at the map, you can see two red areas, so when we scroll in, we can see that California and New York are both red, which indicates that these two states have the highest death counts. For this map, we are looking at average death rate, the average total flu deaths, and the average 65 and up population. When we scroll in, we can see the red circles in California, Texas, Florida, and New York. So that means that these states have the highest numbers of average 65 and up populations. These states also have medium to dark blue colors, which indicates higher average death rates from the flu, and larger circles, which indicate a higher average of total deaths. Pennsylvania also stands out with its dark blue color, medium to large circle, and the circle is a darker color. So I picked these 5 states because they have the highest number of all 3 categories: the average death rate, average total flu deaths, and average 65 plus population. And I put the 5 states, California, Florida, New York, Pennsylvania, and Texas, into the scatter plot to show the relationship between the proportion of 65 plus population and death rate. By observing the scatter plot, we can see a positive and linear correlation between the two variables. From the map and the scatter plot, we can gather that the vulnerable populations consisting of high numbers of 65 plus populations do in fact result in more deaths from the flu. At this point, we know that California, New York, Texas, Pennsylvania, and Florida are the locations that are in highest demand of additional staff from the Medical Staffing Agency. So I have used these 5 states in a temporal line chart to emphasize the trends of influenza among these states and present a forecast to prepare the Medical Staffing Agency for what this flu season will look like among these states. We can see a pattern of increasing and decreasing over time, but not really any exponential growth or decline. Each forecasted death count is within hundreds from the current year, so not very far off. Hopefully, with a proactive staffing plan, we can assist these states accordingly to adequately staff hospitals across the nation and decrease death counts exponentially. This bar graph shows the states in order of the demand for additional staff needed from the Medical Staffing Agency, based on the 2 variables that would determine the level of demand for additional staff: average total deaths and the average percentage of the 65 plus population. Based on all the information and insights that I've presented, I've formed a staffing plan that should meet hospitals' needs across the U.S. And right here, staff should be dispersed as follows. So we've got California, New York, Texas, Pennsylvania, and Florida, the top 5 states, which I have planned for 10% of the medical staffing agency to be dispersed to each state. Then we've got Illinois and Ohio, which both should take 5% of the medical staff, and North Carolina, Michigan, Tennessee, Georgia, Massachusetts, Virginia, Missouri, and New Jersey, 2% of the staff dispersed to these states. And the remaining 16% should be divided evenly among the rest of the states, excluding the states with no influenza death data. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time.